am Sujani, faculty in physics at Institute of Aeronautical Engineering. Today, we are going to discuss about wave function, which is a solution of Schrodinger wave equation. And also, we are going to understand the physical significance of this wave function. So, if you go to the brief outline of the topic, we have already discussed de Broglie hypothesis, wave-particle duality, the Davison-Germer experiment, and the time-independent Schrodinger equation. The solution of this Schrodinger equation gives us the wave function, which we are going to discuss today. And see the brief outline of the topic we are going to discuss. Since this wave function is a new term for you, I am going to take you from what you know to what you do not know. That is something which you know to an unknown, that is the wave function. We are going to discuss the differential equation and find the solutions of those differential equation which gives us the wave function. So let us start with a known example. So to understand the wave function, what we do is we consider a similar example from classical mechanics. So what is the example we consider? We consider a spring. This is a spring of mass m, which is fixed to a rigid support. This is a rigid support. We have taken a spring, fixed one end of it to a rigid support and the other end is connected to a mass which moves on a frictionless surface. Means this is free to move. Now, if it is an ideal spring, if the spring is ideal, then it obeys the Hooke's law. What is Hooke's law? Hooke's law says that the force is always proportional to the displacement. F here represents the force that is applied to pull the spring and X is the displacement. X here represents the displacement. Now, according to Hooke's law, F is proportional to X, and when you write the proportionality constant, because force and displacement is opposite in direction, we write F is equal to minus kx. And according to Newton's second law, what we have, F is equal to ma. Now, if you equate F is equal to minus kx and F is equal to ma. So, on one hand, we have F is equal to minus kx given by Hooke's law, and on the other hand, we have the Newton's second law given by ma. Since the left hand side is the same, we are going to equate the right hand side. So what we have now is ma is equal to minus kx. Or what is a here? Acceleration, which is given by d square x upon dt square. Or minus kx, if I bring it on to the other side, we get plus kx is equal to 0. M into d square x by dt square plus kx is equal to 0 is a second order differential equation. Why I am telling second order? You can say we have taken the second derivative, d square x by dt square plus kx is equal to 0. So whenever you have a differential equation, you know how to solve the equation. So once you solve the equation, you get the value of x. X is equal to a cos omega t plus phi. One solution I can say for x is equal to a cos omega t plus phi. So if we know the value of x, means from this equation, you can get the solution x. And once you know the value of x, x here is the displacement I told you. So, or we are talking about the position. So once you know about x, you can find its velocity. Means you can use the formula v is equal to dx by dt and get the velocity. Yes. Once you know the velocity, or using x directly, you can find acceleration. A is equal to d square x by dt square. So in all the things, if you know x, you can find v. If you know x, you can also find a. You can also find momentum, because momentum is p is equal to m into v. Because we have already got velocity, you can find momentum. You have already got velocity, you can find kinetic energy, which will be given by half mv square. What I want to stress here is if you have a differential equation, this is a differential equation of the second order. The solution of it is giving you x, which is describing the position. So once you know x, you can find different parameters. Means you can know about the other quantities also, like velocity, acceleration, momentum, kinetic energy, and so on. So this is what we are seeing in a classical example. Now in quantum mechanics, Schrodinger equation plays the same role in quantum mechanics as played by Newton's second law of motion in classical mechanics. So like we see this Newton's law in classical mechanics, we see the Schrodinger equation in quantum mechanics. Now the solution of it is giving us the wave function. We get the wave function by solving the second order differential equation, that is Schrodinger wave equation. So I think now you can relate it to something which you know already from the second order differential equation, how you got the position. With the help of x, how you are finding the other values, velocity, acceleration, momentum, and energy. The same way, we have already derived the time independent Schrodinger equation, second order differential equation it is, the solution of which will give us the wave function. This is very important, and the topic of discussion today is wave function. From the solutions you get wave function, and with the help of wave function you can find the other parameters about the wave. So Schrodinger wave equation is the fundamental equation in quantum mechanics. One thing I also want to highlight here is, whenever I talk about wave function, I can say this wave function is similar to your Aadhaar card. Suppose you have your Aadhaar card with a unique ID. Suppose if you submit your Aadhaar card with your unique ID, so what all information that can be drawn from your Aadhaar card? You all know what information we get: your name, we get your date of birth, your address, your mobile number, and also sometimes if it is linked to your bank accounts, you also get the details of your bank accounts. So with one ID, we are able to draw so much information. The same way, if you get the wave function, so if you know about the wave function, you can derive so much information about the wave. So that is why wave function has got lot of significance here. In classical mechanics, we can define the exact position of the particle. So there is no problem in classical mechanics because the particle is localized and you can tell about the exact position of the particle. But any particle in quantum mechanics, it is not localized. Not localized means because we are talking it in the form of a wave. Actually, it travels as a wave velocity, as a group of wave packets. So you cannot tell the exact position of the particle. So we are saying it is not localized. So we cannot tell its position. You cannot tell its momentum. So if you don't know x, you cannot tell v, you cannot tell momentum. So you cannot discuss about all these things. But in quantum mechanics, where we are considering the electron that is revolving around the nucleus. So we have come up with this concept that electrons are having fixed energy related to the levels in which they are revolving in fixed orbit. So an electron which is revolving around the nucleus, you cannot solve the problem using classical mechanics because its position is not constant. So then you cannot find the momentum. You can also not find the momentum, which is mass into product of mass and velocity. So here we will use the quantum mechanical approach. So to determine the position as well as the momentum of an electron which is revolving around the nucleus, you cannot use the classical mechanical approach, but you will have to use the quantum mechanical approach. So you need a wave equation to represent the wave, and we need to get the solutions of the wave, which gives us the wave function. In quantum mechanics, a particle is expressed by a group of waves, which we call as wave packet. And every wave is associated with a quantity which varies periodically with space and time. And wave function is an essential element in quantum mechanical system because we can get any meaningful information about the system using psi. And how we are denoting psi? Psi is denoted by RT. R here we are writing in terms of polar coordinates, or you can simply write it as X, Y, Z in 3 dimension T. In 3 dimension, this is how we are representing psi. And in 1 dimension, how we are representing it? Psi as a function of X and T. This is in 1 dimension. So you understood what is the importance of this wave function. So the wave function here gives all the meaningful information about the system. So if you want to know about the system, first you should have a wave equation which represents the wave, and the solution of the wave gives the wave function, and this wave function, from the wave function we can draw all meaningful information related to the system. Now coming to the wave function is a complex quantity. When we say complex quantity, it is not observable. Okay. So when wave function is multiplied by its complex conjugate, then we get the real quantity. Okay. A real quantity means if you are talking about a real quantity, it will have a definite significance. So when I say complex quantity means, suppose I say psi is complex. So I can write it as A plus IB, which consists of real as well as imaginary number. So it is a complex quantity. Psi is equal to A plus IB. So it is not observable. Okay, because we have some imaginary number also. So in order to make it real, what we are going to do? We are going to take the complex conjugate of it. Complex conjugate of psi we are denoting it by psi star. So how do you write the complex conjugate? A minus IB. The complex conjugate is now psi star is equal to A minus IB. We have written it here. Psi is equal to A plus IB and psi star is equal to A minus IB. Now take the product of the two. When you multiply psi with psi star, what do you get? Psi into psi star will be equal to A plus IB into A minus IB. So this is simply like A plus B into A minus B. You have to get your mathematics right. So this is like A plus B into A minus B. So apply the formula. A plus B into A minus B is equal to A plus B into A minus B is A square minus B square. So we will simply use that formula here. So for this we can write A square minus, what will be our B square? I square B square. And you know the value of I square is equal to minus 1. So when you substitute minus 1 here, minus into minus, you get plus. So psi star will be equal to A square minus, for I square we are writing minus 1 into B square. So it is A square plus B square. So psi star is equal to A square plus B square, which is real. So from a complex quantity, psi is a complex quantity, we are trying to make it real. How are we making it real? By multiplying it with its complex conjugate. We get A square plus B square, which is a real quantity. Real quantity means it is observable. Because if you have to draw other information regarding the system, we need to have psi as an observable quantity. So we always talk in terms of psi square modulus or psi star, because this is observable and this is a real quantity. Now we will see the physical significance of psi one by one. As discussed, wave function has no direct physical meaning because it's a complex quantity representing the variation of matter wave. And it connects the particle nature to wave nature. The second significance of this is, whenever we are talking about wave function, a wave function represent or it connects the particle nature as well as the wave nature statistically. How? Psi square or psi star psi is if the function is complex. Okay. at a point is proportional to the probability of finding the particle at that point at a given time. And the probability density is always represented by psi star. Means what is the probability of finding the particle at that point? Suppose I just simply represent a wave here. Okay, so if it is a particle, it is localized and we can exactly pinpoint its position. But when this particle we are talking about as a wave, it has got wave nature or matter waves. Actually, it travels in the form of wave packets. For simplifying it, I just represent it like this. Now, if I have to find the particle here, it can be at any position here. And the probability of finding the particle at any position is the same. Okay, so it is difficult to locate its exact position. So we will not talk about the position of the particle in exact terms, but we talk about the probability of finding the particle anywhere from here to here in this space. Is it clear why we are talking in terms of probability? Because it is not possible to locate its position exactly, but the particle exists somewhere in this position. So we are going to try to find the probability of finding the particle from this position to this position. So the probability density is always represented by psi square. This is what I am talking about, one dimension. Now if you are talking about 3 dimension, where you will put it in a box something like this with your x, y and as well as z axis. Now we take psi square of dx, dy, dz is equal to 1. In this case, in one dimensional case, you may say psi star must be psi square or psi star is equal to 1. But in case of 3 dimension, we use represented by dx, dy, dz should be equal to 1. Now, if the particle is present somewhere in space, means you cannot say it is from here to here. So, the particle can be anywhere in this location if I say. If I consider the view of the screen as the entire universe, okay, and the particle is there somewhere in the universe, I consider this end as minus infinity and this end as infinity. And the particle is there somewhere in the universe. So, if I can integrate all positions from minus infinity to infinity, the particle has to be there in that position. Okay, so if the particle is present somewhere in space, so we try to take the integration. Integral is nothing but continuous summation of all the positions you take from minus infinity to plus infinity. So integral minus infinity to infinity psi square dx, dy, dz should be equal to 1, because you know the maximum probability of finding the particle anywhere, you are getting it by 1. Maximum probability is 1. Or you can write the same. Instead of psi square, we write it as psi star psi dx, dy, dz is equal to 1. So this wave condition satisfying the above condition is said to be normalized. If the wave is satisfying this condition, means the probability of finding it anywhere from infinity, minus infinity to infinity is 1. Then the wave is said to be normalized. Now in 1926, Max Born, this is the name of the scientist, he gave a statistical interpretation for psi square. So what he gave? The probability of finding the particle at any time is proportional to psi square or psi star psi. What does this mean? What does this probability mean here? It is proportional to psi square. If the value of psi square is large, means big, more the value of psi square means the probability of finding it is strong at that given point. So the more the value of psi square, higher the value of psi square. If the value of psi square is more high, so the probability of finding it, is also high. Okay, so that is how Max Born has given the statistical interpretation for psi square. It tells us the probability of finding the particle at that point at a given time. Now, when we talk in terms of probability, it is not fixed. It changes with time. So, suppose I am talking about this equation, a full wave from a time 0 to t. Okay. So, I otherwise write it as time period t. At half the time interval, the particle can be here. At t by 4 it can be here, 3t by 4 it can be here, and after a time t seconds it can be here. So it changes with time. If we are talking in terms of probability, it is not fixed. It changes with time. This is how it varies. If you are talking about a wave, its position varies with respect to time. So Bond's interpretation, it gives us an idea of how to extract meaningful information about the nature of the particle's position from the mathematical solution of Schrodinger equation. So from this Schrodinger equation, when you get the solution, you get the meaningful information about the wave. In other words, the position of the particle can be extracted from psi of x. That is given by Bond's approximation. What is Bond's approximation? The position of the particle can be extracted from psi of x. Now to conclude, there are several advantages in understanding the wave functions as representing an elements of an abstract vector space. So whenever you deal with complex problems, engineering problems, you will be using all the powerful tools of linear algebra, and you can manipulate and understand the wave functions, which helps you to find the other quantities of the system also. Thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.